Oh man. All right. Um,
Back at it. How you
Mm-hmm.
doing?
back at it. I'm hungry. You realize
Yeah.
you're hungry like in the moment, like as you're just kind of
Oh,
going through the motions, it
Mm,
just
I
hits you like, oh, I'm hungry.
mm-hmm.
I can usually tell that I'm hungry is when I start doing. I start referring to food when I'm describing stories to folks.
Yeah.
Like,
Elaborate. Let me
like,
hear this.
like, you know what? The way that this system is built, it's like a hamburger. You know, the bottom you have your bun.
Oh
There's two
boy.
patties on it, so since there's two patties, you have to have that. The
That's
API
so
layer
funny.
is the cheese, stuffing
Yep.
the cheese.
Now I'm hungry. Yep. Yep.
Kubernetes is like a subway. What?
You know?
What is
Oh man.
it?
Every time, I'm like, oh, I am hungry. I'm trying to explain things.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Really, man. How's your guys' week and stuff so far?
Good, good.
It's been good
Yeah.
over here too, man. It's had its ups and downs, definitely. I've been doing a lot of the vibe coding and testing
Mm,
different models. And I definitely have some takeaways. And definitely Claude is still at the top of the list. I can't
yeah.
say.
Claude is my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Call me Jean Claude.
Jean,
Are
Jean
Jean
Dan.
Claude.
you prefer? Are you using Claude on the web side of things or API side of things or both?
I guess more on the API side of things, really on the extension side of things, because I'm using it through Client, the client extension in VS Code. Um, so using it that way, it's awesome. Um,
Mm.
where I was telling Sekou earlier, I used switched to Gemini. Was using 001 Gemini 2001 Flash
Hmm.
for the first time yesterday, and it definitely needed more help than Anthropic than Claude does for sure.
Mm.
Uh, I'm realizing so many things need help.
Yeah,
So many different. Yeah, we are we are pushing forward, but we're not there as much as the media or the production says we're there. We still need so many steps in between.
yeah,
No, no. This reminds me of like entering, like a couple years ago, um, entering JavaScript development for something and trying to find a framework, and then realizing that led to another framework. And, oh no, not you. Don't use this one for this one. Oh wait, use this for CSS. Like the, the
Mm,
spiraling that
so
comes
many
from that.
options.
So many options. Everyone has an opinion. You have
yeah.
talked to people long enough about their opinions, you realize they just gave up and just found a way to make it work.
That's an interesting story because I remember back in those days where I came in around the React, when that first
Hmm.
came out and when Angular
Mm,
was out. And I
oh
remember
boy.
after that making a decision to go back to just vanilla JavaScript because I was not like no, because I mean working within paint within those lines, I wasn't learning enough to that I wanted to like, you
Yeah, it
know,
was doing
you
this.
know what I
It
mean?
was it very much it was a war between Angular and React.
For
It
sure.
Yeah.
was just like I feel like it was a conference called Angular versus React.
Yeah, I mean
Like
it was
it was such just like a thing, and stuff. And so
that's
yeah,
the story. It's the story as old as time because that's basically what Facebook versus Google, right?
yeah.
Um, Google
Mm-hmm.
had Angular, right? I believe.
Hmm.
Uh, is that
Was
what they
there Angular?
had?
Yeah,
I
yeah. It
remember.
was
I just
yeah.
remember.
It was Google. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was with Google and everything, and then Facebook and stuff. React was fun to use though. Like once it really got there and everything, and they did a good job and stuff in their documentation,
For
and
sure.
then they came out React Native, which when it came out and everything, it had certain components where you can build like native components and everything, particularly on iOS and stuff. But like it still wasn't. You still had to write, like native Swift, things, particularly around things when you want to access some of the hardware, like camera, lighting, things like that. It just wasn't there yet. So
Totally.
maybe there now. I haven't touched React Native in like years.
I got so frustrated at those native frameworks because Angular had one too, and I definitely tried React Native, and it never compiled into something that I could use. It was always kind of like, oh, but you can't do this, or there were certain limitations
and
that
then,
made it.
Sekou, check the messages, Sekou. And then also too, that was also like another battle. It was like the native versus non-native community, so like the native engineers, versus the cross-platform, engineer. Like that became another battle and stuff too as well. And all of debating what was better and stuff and everything, and what we should do and stuff. And so that was also
now looking back, I can say the native developer, if you're gonna develop, back then for mobile devices, just learn Swift. Just learn, just go that route, because it was going to be the smoothest experience. Everywhere else, it's going to be some compromises along the way.
Yeah, it also depends on what you're building. If you're building like a web-based wrapper or something like that, that you want to put into an application, then you can do something like that. But if you're trying to build Snapchat, or something like that, you need every element of native and stuff in there. So
Yep. Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. That was a lot of frustration to get there.
Anyway, this is our AI world. That
was a gang war in the technical community.
Yeah, man. Yeah, to rep your set. Set you repping.
Yeah, so like Svelte is my friend now. That's the one I use. My framework.
It's interesting. The same thing is happening now in the AI world. The same thing is happening, and stuff now, particularly, with all these tools and, this, one thing I hate so much. Every week, somebody's releasing a video, an article. This just killed OpenAI. Oh my God. It's like every week something is killed it, like, and it's like, man.
Clickbait.
They have no moat. There's no moat.
Oh yeah, they have no moat.
There's no moat. No one has a moat.
And it's the one clip of Sam Altman looking like stunned, like that's the thumbnail.
Do it again, Adrian.
With the caption over here. Because I like to think they must keep a real, whenever someone goes into the public sphere, like they just keep an inventory of just shitty images. Like we're just gonna have, this is when we're dragging them. We're gonna have like all these images here of just them looking crazy.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, someone's just saying that one. That's the one. That's the image.
Yeah. Yeah, whose job is that?
All right, guys, should we get started here?
Yeah, get it going.
All right, man, let's rock and roll. Hey, man. Guys, welcome back to AI with Friends. Man, this is a podcast with a few practitioners and stuff, builders, engineers. So we are individuals and software engineers, who has been working on some AI tools now for quite some time. And now, we just kind of essentially just kind of want to share our experience, our learning experience, our engagement, some of the things that we're seeing in the market, kind of also cut through the fluff, if you will. There's a lot of it's our podcast. There's a lot of BS, stuff out there too as well. So we want to hit you direct and so with some of these things and stuff, that we're seeing. Well, here, man, let's jump into it. We'll start off with this one, man. A surprising, interesting turn and stuff here. OpenAI has announced nearly a $12 billion investment into CoreWeave. CoreWeave is a cloud provider, especially in GPU acceleration. I said this deal signals OpenAI's effort to reduce reliance on traditional cloud giants like AWS and Azure. CoreWeave has positioned itself as an alternative to the mainstream cloud providers, offering lower costs, high performance, computer resources for AI model training and inference. By securing this long-term access to these resources, OpenAI is ensuring that its infrastructure will continue to be developing beyond cutting-edge AI models like GPT-5 and beyond. Adrian, man, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts? What's your thought here, man? Oh, nearly 12 billion would it be? OpenAI, they're going to invest.
This is when William Randolph Hearst, bought the forest. You gotta, on the supply chain side of things, it's like you got to be able to, be willing to eat up what you can in order to keep really your supply chain optimized. And maybe that figure may seem high, but say you'll go over given 20 years or something, it could be a deal. I'm not as familiar with CoreWeave. I'm going to leave that more to Sekou and you. But it really seems like it's that move. And I think you guys had pretty good things to say about that product. So I'd be interested to hear more about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Sekou?
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's funny. I think Sam Altman said this statement a couple of weeks ago. It's like the problem that
we need
we're
more
going to face is not the amount of data that we need for AI. That's not the problem. It's not the demand of whether people are going to come or not. It's GPUs. Where we get enough GPUs to actually do the things that we're trying to do, right? And
Right.
The folks, I'm not sure if folks know that the background story on CoreWeave, right? Like
Yeah,
CoreWeave
because you
they kind of got their start like in the crypto world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like being a place for you to rent GPUs to mine some Ethereum or something like that, or Bitcoin, or run your decentralized app or something like that. And when there was a big shift in the market, when they moved from proof of was it proof of stake? Yes, I think it's proof of stake. It used to be like you had to solve a algorithmic problem, which is very CPU intensive, in order to get, say, a Bitcoin token, right?
Yeah.
They changed the algorithm itself, so it wasn't dependent on solving these puzzles that required so much CPU. And what happened is it crashed the market for places like CoreWeave. That was like their whole business of providing GPUs to folks.
Oh, okay.
So luckily, this AI boom started picking up, and they were like one of the early folks that made that shift to say, hey, we have this technology for running multiple people on GPUs, and this AI world, like people need GPUs. We have that down. Well, why don't we, put our API around it and have it provided to this new community? And because they jumped on that bandwagon, they have been like ahead of the race. So if you're not AWS, you're not on AWS, you're not on, GCP or Azure, and you want a GPU real quick, folks will just go to CoreWeave.
Hey, let
And
me add to that real quick, Sekou. Not only did they had a bunch of specified GPUs in there for the crypto side, but also too, luckily for them, they acquired a bunch of H100s too as well. And so they had a nice amount of H100s that was kind of like ready to go even before they knew they was kind of going to go this direction and everything. And so, but the rumor is on the hardware and software side, so they rebuilt their infrastructure and everything on the cloud side to get it ready for cloud computing, AI cloud computing. But the rumor is that they also figure out things to do on the hardware side too as well for those old GPUs that were specified for crypto. And they figured out how to maximize those and use those with, H100s and everything. And so essentially, they have now thousands of GPUs that are ready and being able to be used. Basically, the rumor is also too they have more GPUs than Amazon, and so they haven't publicly said it because probably they're terrified for their life.
Yeah.
But the rumor is they have more GPUs than Amazon. All right, go ahead, Sekou.
So the funny thing is, for CoreWeave was originally being courted by Microsoft. And recently Microsoft says, we're not going to deal with CoreWeave anymore. So OpenAI pouring money into CoreWeave is like, this essentially looks like a chess move now. Right.
Yeah, because why would Microsoft turn that down? Like, why would they? Because I would think that, we know Microsoft, they got the reactor. They got they're invested in AI. Like they're going in hard. So
yeah.
Are they at a short of processors, like as far or GPUs?
I think everyone is kind of short on GPUs. It's funny, during the time where CoreWeave was acquiring these H100s, there was this huge dash that was starting to begin, and they just happened to jump on this bandwagon of capturing these GPUs before other folks have jumped on them, and they, now they're industry leader in this field, and just by having foresight, that's what happened. But it's interesting. Yeah.
Remember Pursuit of Happiness, like Will Smith and at the beginning when he was fixing those medical had those medical devices that he was doing, and it makes me think that it was just bad luck that nothing like that really took off. It didn't turn out to be a lucrative thing, and it makes me think of someone like these companies like CoreWeave, where you find yourself with all this inventory at some point, and you're just like, we don't know what to do with all this, and just luckily, just luckily the AI boom takes off, and then you now are in high demand. You're sitting on all this capital.
Yeah, now you're crushing it, and it is the most high demand thing that's out there right now. Is getting access to large swaths of GPUs, and that is what really makes or breaks companies' abilities to, create their own LLM, to actually be in that race, be in that conversation, rather than just a user or consumer of someone else's. So for OpenAI, it's like this is table stakes for them to get access to additional GPU inventory. Because they already said, I think Microsoft said that they don't have enough GPUs for all the things that OpenAI is trying to accomplish, right? So even some of the Stargate, even some of the things that are connected to Stargate deal is really around the fact that we have to find new sources for some of these things, right? So anyway, it's exciting. I'm super happy for the folks that are cool. We were probably they're cruising right now. It's a good time. I definitely know that they are they're still having lunches served to them over there. So
did they go public yet?
I don't think so. No, they're private.
Oh, so this is preparation for them to go public.
Yeah. It's like one of the fastest growing companies now at this point. But it's so funny the Microsoft pullback, and then the OpenAI buy-in. So it's really strange because it's technically Microsoft money. Because Microsoft is invested.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's right.
That's funny. That's funny, or at least a percentage of it. Yeah. I mean, this is very similar to like the trajectory of Snowflake like a decade ago. You know, Snowflake had like this explosion up, like, and they just took off. So they kind of, it was like it's like engineers knew about them, and a few companies, and then all of a sudden just exploded.
Because data warehousing became like in high demand. Like wow.
Yeah, and they kind of created their own category too. Snowflake did. They actually carved out a space that was very just unique to them. So if you wanted the type of warehousing that they provided, like they were kind of the only place to really go at that time. I think like you have the Databricks and those folks are like out there. They're definitely doing a little bit more competition in there, but Snowflake really, they were owning the space for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
You never know.
They were definitely dominating and stuff in that area and stuff for sure. Okay, cool. Here we go. So, we was having a conversation kind of behind the scenes and stuff, if you will, here of, we live in a world of the AI agent, the assistant. What's the tool to solve this problem that I have? Can it, automate? Can it replace? Can I use and stuff? All these things. And so now we're seeing a lot of tools and stuff here pop up and everything. So Jack Dorsey has announced, was not announced, but Jack Dorsey has AI assistant now, Goose, that is taking off in, open source. And then you got the K agent, which is an open source framework, for AI agents in Kubernetes. Here's a question. Are we in the area right now with all these tooling, these agents, these components? Are we in the area right now where these are tools for the road to become, not to the road that is?
Oh my. Oh, that's a good question. Good question. Wow.
Not tools for the road.
Tools for the road to become. Huh. Well, why don't you go for it, Adrian? I think you look like you have it.
That's a tough question. I feel like it's the tools for the road to become. We're gonna maybe, there's gonna be a lot of iterations of different agents, and then people are gonna settle on the ones that work best for them over a given period of time. So it'll kind of whittle itself down. People's funding will drop off, or just shifts will change. Because just think about the two examples there. I found that what's it called? Something like Goose is consumer level, whereas something like K Agent is going to be more of an enterprise level. And within both of those products, those are like different categories, and like so within both of those categories, there's going to be competition, and then evidently I think that the agent itself will stick around. It's going to be a sticky idea, especially after trying Goose, the little bit that I've tried it today. So I think I'm going to say it's for the road to become. If I'm answering that question correctly here.
No, you're good. If it's, I think you're right, Adrian. I think I would go as far to name this as technical consumer abuse. It is consistently the promise of what it is, but the lie of that it's just not there yet. Now
Agreed.
we do have tools and everything that work pretty well, work pretty consistent, but it's still at a baseline level. And also too, I would flip this back on the consumer too as well, because the consumer is always saying we want bigger, better, faster, cheaper, when 36 months ago we didn't have none of these things, and stuff. And so, it is, I feel like it's this, I feel like the consumer has a an expectation of a non-reality that the consumer is not even being necessarily fully appreciative of what is today, while the enterprise is consistently trying to build for not even tomorrow, for next week or next year, but that also leaves this consistent gap. It leaves this consistent gap. The consumer's here and they're like, oh, we want all of this, but you still don't understand this.
Yep.
And the enterprise is like, we're going to build here, but they're not even talking to these people down here.
Exactly.
And stuff. And so, we're seeing this now in the modality aspect of, watch this. I mean, as you guys know, I'm an educator in a space and everything, and I host these workshops and everything. But we're also engineers, so as well. How many people have you heard in your circle using Soro?
Zero. I mean, let me think. I got a really tech, enthusiastic brother-in-law. So he's used we say the video generation software. Yeah, he's used Sora.
One, let's say one about a how many?
Shoot. Yeah.
Sekou?
That's the only one I know.
Yeah, no, I don't think I know one person that has used that. And it's interesting when you talk to engineers, you hear about who's actually using some of these tools. It's still not a lot of people use tool. Like folks have interacted with ChatGPT. You look at how many engineers have it incorporated into their day-to-day life. The number is still super, super low. It's super, super low, right? There's definitely when you flip around to some of the startups where they're really like encouraging, or people who are maybe even lower skilled, there's more like appetite. People are spending more time in it, but people who are veterans or deep into it, there's still like not a huge penetration of developers that are like really integrated. It might be like, out of like 20, maybe like one that is actually like knows what, no, actually, maybe out of 30, maybe one knows even what vibe coding is, these terms that we throw around. Right. And that's, I think, some of the purpose of our podcast too, is kind of like introduce and kind of like cut through a little bit of the noise. So
that's the point I was gonna say too, is that there needs to be an increase in really literacy around AI and what the different models are, and what they can do for you, because there's so many news articles every day. There'll be a new tool that's doing something, and then as we go in there and try them, we are saying often it ain't there yet, or this doesn't, something like what this does over here, but maybe not as well. So there needs to be, more literacy.
Or as us as engineers and practitioners, we can tell that it's not there yet, but also know how to fill in the gaps.
Yes.
Which
that's
your
why,
everyday, your everyday consumer is not going to know how to do that. And everything, they'll get frustrated, like, it's not working. All right, let me move on to something else.
And there's a little bit of a perfection complex, and not all engineers, but some engineers, right? If it's not working 100% for me, then I'm not going to use it. That is my bar. It needs to be 100% perfect. Oh, by the way, I have bugs in my code. That's the reality that we're in right now. Is that we're expecting 100% accuracy out of computers because that's what we've been trained to do. We put something in, and we know if it's breaking, it's technically our fault because computers are perfect at what they do. Yeah. But with LLM, it shatters that because there's a level of eventual trust that has to be determined as you're using it. You have to do things, it proves that you can trust it. You do another thing, it proves that you can trust it. Do another thing, and eventually, you can have a little bit of consistency, which I'm just realizing doing another analogy here. but I think that's where we are. And there's a gap. And I think as a practitioner, even the hobbyists out there, hobbyists are great because they don't need perfection. They just need a show of progress, right?
Yeah.
That's all you really need, just a sign of progress. And I think when I look at Goose and some of these new tools, I see progress. I say, they got something right. But you got to remember, every one of these tools we're looking at are building things based off of a hypothesis that is not proven yet.
So true.
That's so at any given time, it can go away. Yeah.
And also, this is also too why I hate the term. This one is better than that one.
For sure.
This is. I mean, we're still in the lane of prompting. We still, to get maximum results. A lot of people. I've had this conversation. A lot of people don't know there's two different prompt extractings from GPT-4 Omni versus O1. Everything that's two different approaches and stuff there. And so we're still on, and it's you will hear people say oh, it just understands me better, and everything and things like that. And it's oh, well, I'm going to deem this one as better. Everything. And but there's also one use case for one prompt that you gave it that may have several examples in their data set and everything of how to maximize a short, prompt and stuff like that, how to maximize it. This is what they actually mean and stuff, and how to extract, that information. But now somebody has deemed that one as better for that one use cases for the entire platform, and it just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist and everything. Now, you can name one. I think it's across the board. I think, for me personally, when I'm doing image generation, I prefer Mid-Journey over, ChatGPT. It's like that. But that also depends on the use case,
For sure.
Somebody might just want a quick picture of a lion and they're like, perfect. That's exactly what I needed. And kind of move on, in GPT-4 where they don't need to be as detailed and everything for Mid-Journey. And so, I think we're in this lane we do this in everyday life and stuff now. You still have Mac versus PC guy. You still have iPhone versus Android and everything. We still have, Chevy versus Ford. All these are use cases that matter to the individual. And those individuals become, salesmen, market leaders based on that use case. But I think people forget that, hey, this works for me because of X, Y, and Z. Doesn't deem the platform, the service, the tooling as best, across the board type of thing.
Yep. And okay, so here's a couple questions. One is where do you think, just talking to Sekou about the point of engineers when they decide to use or introduce to an AI tool, if it doesn't work correctly out of the box the first time, then they don't want to use it. When I hear that, I can't help but suspect that it almost sounds like a new engineer coming in and then, kind of doing things their way. And then the old heads that'll kind of, hey, no, we don't do that. We do it this way, which is required and cool, but this isn't that. This is a machine And I can't help but think a little bit, it's a little bit of the ego coming in where, you know, do you think that, you know, if, you know, they didn't want it to work, do you think that it's a situation where they could not from the beginning not want that to work before?
So wait, so hold on, Sekou, before you go, let me add one thing to that. Are you talking about a coding assisted closed source or open source?
I'm talking about either. Like, because we're just talking about if a coder, an engineer, is his willingness to adopt, Copilot, something like that, to adopt something like that. And I'm talking specifically about agents here. The Copilot, everyone, I feel like that's more universal. But the agent side of things is more intense.
Yeah, it's actually, I think the Copilot is definitely way more used, has more, like, it's in more places. The agent part, like, yeah, that's so new for folks.
Yeah.
Like I have trouble having conversations around it in any technical space I go into right now still. It's interesting though, because the folks that are using are getting a lot of use out of agents and those workflows. Like there is a level of low-end code or code that just needs to be good enough that you just need to get through, that agents provide like a huge usdual in my life, right?
Dude, like, I have a whole another theory in that. Like, I think that it's because I can maybe talk to people better that I can use that system better than the person who maybe gets frustrated. I think it has to do a little bit with my own people skills. That's my own theory here, because it's weird how effective it's working for me and it's not for them. Like, what did you ask it? You know, how did you ask it that?
Well,
I would wonder.
Yeah,
I would say too. I think in the category of software engineers, I think software engineers has adopted in a category of people more than anybody. You know, so comparing software engineers to marketers or to CEOs or to finance people, you know, I think software engineers have adopted it, you know, more like in the category more than anybody. And then I think, I mean, this is, I mean, I heard about Cursor. It exploded very quickly. I heard about Cursor very quickly. I think I heard about it, and then like 2 days later, both of you guys mentioned it, and then like another day later, one of my other friends mentioned it, and like another friend mentioned it, and so it's that adoption, you know, in this lane versus some nonprofit leaders are not adopting or trying at that rate, you know, trying new things and everything. It goes back to what we talked about a couple episodes ago of like being on this AI treadmill now, everything. So it seems like engineers are either shifting and understanding that they are now like long runners. So they're like, hey, I'm just going to build my endurance. And now I'm just kind of keep going through it until I have like that breakthrough or I find the tools so that matters to me, versus other professionals, or could be like a one and done. Like, all right, it didn't work, I'm done. Like, let me go back to this other stuff, man, type of thing.
Yeah, I'm talking only from the software engineer perspective, because it's like those when I go into the Reddit comments, and you know, with different subreddits, local llama is the one that I'm usually on. That one is so divided because there'll be so many. It seems to be engineers in there being like, I now have stopped using Replit, for instance. You know, there's been a couple of posts that I've seen recently with some backlash about Replit, and I'm like, what? Like, how can you not like that? You know, it's
you're proving my point too, because no other profession is about to go ahead and try to use, you know, local llama. Like, they're just not.
No,
We're not
that's the
there.
name of the subforum. That's the name of the subreddit.
Okay,
Subreddit.
nobody's about to go in there. Nobody's about to go in there and try to use Llama 2, and nobody's about to go in there and try to do all these things. They're like, just, hey, where's the website? Give me the URL, everything. And so
Mm-hmm.
So
we're talking about engineers.
Yes. So I think going back to Goose, I think this is one thing that I think is interesting. Their approach is they have it actually reminds me of Docker Desktop. If anyone's familiar, Docker Desktop. Docker became, it was an important technology. But enough, Docker Desktop was more important than the actual Docker containers running your system. It created like a no setup process to get access to doing these workflows, right? And that's what Goose kind of does. You install Goose, you just point it at a directory. You don't actually get an IDE. There's no IDE on Goose.
That worries me. That's where I'm like, I don't.
No, you gotta lean into the vibes. There's no code.
I don't know.
There's no code. It's just everything is a conversation.
That's all vibes. That's all vibes.
All vibes. There's no code. So it does that, but it also has like almost like how Docker Hub has like the registry where you can pull in different containers and stuff like that. And this version, and their incarnation of this, you can pull in what do they call it? Is it MCP?
Yeah, the model context protocol applications.
Model context applications that support model context protocol. Basically, it's like an interface for you to connect to generic things, like an interface to connecting to running the Git command, an interface connected to talking to Salesforce or something like that. But they have like a marketplace, so you can just pull them in and kind of connect them. So it's novel, is interesting. However, I'm not sure how long no one knows how long these things are going to last, but
you never know.
As a practitioner, I can actually appreciate the progress. Someone has attempted to take this thing that is not well defined and try to create an ecosystem around this thing that's not well defined, and they went all the way in.
I have so much more confidence using this because you know what, I'm going to let you get away with just mentioning how revolutionary Docker Desktop is because of the problems that I've had with Docker Desktop over the years, like crashing out of nowhere. It's been we haven't had the best relationship, but I'm excited about Goose because of the command line interface. And I know it may seem like the dumbest thing, and I think Claude has one too, but I've never used it. But the CLI here, I don't know. I thought that maybe they did. They have the desktop application though.
Yeah,
but Goose has a command line application. So that's what I like and want to use to explore this the most that I can, because I just trust a command line application so much more than a desktop application. I don't, and it's just
that's interesting. Yeah. You know what? I've been scarred growing up in technology of the Windows progress bar. For many years, I thought it meant something. Then I realized that it actually means absolutely nothing. The progress bar is just
really?
Yeah, it never meant anything. It really never meant anything. It did not actually estimate the duration of how long something will take. It is just an animation. Yes, the progress bar. The original, the one on the version on Windows,
like Windows 95.
Well, Windows 95, Windows XP, Windows Me, all those versions.
Chill.
All those versions of Windows, the progress bar meant absolutely nothing. It was literally just guessing durations to see if it was actually done. It was not. Yeah. Anyway, but I'm just saying, like that is built up my distrust in desktop applications. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to see. I feel like the text interface. I did definitely a little more trust. So.
Yeah.
So here, I don't know, Craig, here's a question. Microsoft said generative AI usage has increased from 55% to 75% in the last year for business leaders and AI decision makers. With this, increase, we also seeing individuals, companies, we're seeing investment increase. We're seeing people innovate, build things, like we just discussed. And also too, it seems like we're approaching a time period where also money will get cheaper, which also means investment will go up. Everything from the software side of things, from the hardware side of things. But also too, like we'd also just discussed as well, is the pour in of all these new toolings, things like that, that also is leaving the consumer kind of like, with their head on the swivel, like, where do I go? What do I try? All different things like that. Is there a backlash? Is there a negative side of that where, we think we talked about this a while ago, where like even now, Netflix, it's hard to kind of go pick something on Netflix because there's too many options. And so you may find yourself scrolling and swiping through things and just like, I'll just go to a different platform, because of too much or anything. Do we see this happening in this AI tooling world too?
Well, I mean, speaking of Netflix, I got one option that they can take off, and that's Craven. That was the worst movie I've ever. I can't. Morbius was better. Morbius was way better than Craven. Do not see. Don't. I mean, you're talking about something that was AI generated. I don't think that the director was anywhere in sight. Anywhere in sight with Craven. They just. I mean, it. Oh my God. I was so mad.
Was it worse than Madam Web?
I wanted to be decent.
Was it worse than Madam Web? That's my question.
I didn't see Madam Web.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I think that was. Oh man, that could have been AI generated. That was so bad. Like, it was the weirdest rushed storyline I've ever seen.
Same. It was very
characters
rushed.
Made no sense. You can tell it's like they did a million edits on this thing and they never actually got it right.
Yeah.
But,
I heard the negative reviews on Craven when it came out, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
It was on Netflix, so I had to check it out. But going back to your question, Marlon, I think that it's possible to get like burnt out on just like the new models, especially when you are one that's a practitioner and you're trying the new ones. And if you are a practitioner with its back up against the wall with like upper management and you're trying to drive adoption, it can you can become the boy who cried wolf after a while, where you keep suggesting that we adopt this thing, and then that thing falls apart, and then there goes your credibility as well to a certain extent. If you do this more often, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me piggyback off of that. I think that's why I think it's so important to create a culture where experimentation is a goal, right?
Yes.
And that's where, like, when you're at a startup, even when you're an enterprise, you have real business risk connected to all the things you do. So there's a level of, you have to hit for 100 every time you make your guess. And this technology is emerging, right? Mm-hmm. Folks are going to make mistakes. You're going to choose the wrong technology. And if engineers are afraid to do that, they're just not going to give you their ideas. And that's the reality of it.
Yep.
So
watch this.
Yeah.
Let me combine these two. Here we go. We're talking about kind of right now a workforce that, most workforces are not approaching projects, in an experimental level. It's a lot of, unfortunately, cultures is like, hey, this better work or else, type of thing. And they kind of put that, on the workforce. Productivity, I think it was MIT and Harvard did research and said, it's like 2 years ago now, they said they realized that individuals who use AI tooling, their productivity has already increased 20%, which is interesting because one may think that when productivity increases, you start to kind of get time back. Everything. In a way, yes.
Yeah.
A leak memo from Google's co-founder Sergey Brin. He's advocating for a 60-hour work week. Now, particularly starting off for AI engineers and everything. Now, we just said that productivity has increased, to as well, but also to these big boys are now, doubling down, going heads down. We need to create more, do more, all the different things like that. Will this have a backfire in the AI boom of even kind of to the point where this is bringing back the extreme work culture, if you will?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like I feel like I've worked through most of a lot of the different flavors of Silicon Valley, right? And I was in the hyper growth companies that were like adding like 3,000 employees in like 4 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen it, and I've been one of those folks like doing like almost working underneath my desk to get things done, right? And the one thing that I remember is it wasn't just work. They did a good job of making it fun. It felt like a club. It felt like you were not just working to build someone's widget, but you're hanging out with friends and you're building something amazing and you're all going to celebrate it at the end. I remember that's what the hackathons really kind of came from, is from this like encouraging experimentation, creating a place where engineers could fail and fail in a way that you can get value out of it. And that failure was actually like a positive thing. Controlled failure was a positive thing.
Wow.
I feel like we're shifting so far into like this, hardcore mode as they call it. We're kind of betraying the actual history of where we've been. Saying that we want a 60 hour, 60-hour work week. You know what the problem is with that? Is that you have to ask for it. When you have engineers that are engaged, that love what they do, you don't have to ask for it. You get it for free because they're
You
having
get
a
it
good
for free.
time.
That's right,
You get it
man.
for free.
Oh,
Yeah, I was there giving up my 80
yeah.
hours and stuff.
That changes my
myself.
point. That changes my point I was gonna make, man. Because I was like, I felt like, yeah, this is what you do. You buckle down. Like we're in the AI race now. So we're gonna have to step it up. Everyone's gonna have to step it up. And if you're working at a company like that, you got to be down to step it up. And 80 hours a week sounds crazy, but when you break it up, it's like when I've been passionate on my job, no sweat. I've done that. No sweat, and didn't even think twice about it. And company culture, just going back to that, such a good point. Such a good point about company culture, man, because a culture that is pushing innovation, and the people don't feel afraid to present ideas and things like that. Like I've been working at companies where they themselves have said, we have the best company culture. And it was not the best company culture. It was the worst that I've worked at, and it's got to be, it's you're, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. That's why, like, teams that I've worked with, I have such a huge emphasis in making sure that you're working on things that you actually like want to work on, not just because like you have to achieve this goal. Like we all have goals we have to achieve. We want to make sure that like you want engineers to be aligned to the goal. Like I'm interested in this subject. Oh, I work on this subject. I'm moving things forward in this particular subject, rather than treating
which is typically
like factory workers, right? And we're trying to get this like we somehow want to get to factory workers and then put overtime on top of that. Like that's not how it works. So
which is typically not the case a lot of times for individuals at Google, at least not when they first get there. Because when you're hired and stuff at Google, you don't even know what team you're going to be on until after the interview process.
Yeah, they go matching. Yeah, that used to be a huge thing. Like you come in as an engineer, and based off your not just your aptitude, you have a career conversation with someone then you're placed into a place that is aligned to your career, so we can have your energy like aligned to the energy of the team. Like, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find your way stuff in there.
Yeah.
Eventually. Yeah, I think I think this is interesting. I think this is productivity. I think they're redefining what the definition of the output of productivity is, which is productivity now is going to, I hate to say this, productivity now is going to mean the opportunity for you to do more. It's going to be the opportunity for you to do more. Okay, so you got done with that project quicker. Okay, here's 6 more.
Here you go.
And so here's 6 more. Let's get this done. And stuff. So I think it's going to be the opportunity for individuals to do more, particularly when you have companies who are building tooling on a roller coaster. And they're just if they get a hint at something may be it, they're playing, they'll pour in a couple $1 million to see. And, I think there's, at their point, you're building for luck, not from strategy. You're building for luck and you're, seeing what's going to hit and everything. And, you do have companies who are like known for this. Well, they'll just create all these different features and all the different things like that it sounds extravagant, but you use once. Like, with all due respect, I don't need my phone camera to zoom into the moon. It's, I get it and everything, but it's just like, I'm going to do that once. Like, oh, it does work. And I'm never going to use it again. Like, just like, just never going to use it again.
Damn, that's true.
And so
it just sounds like every Samsung feature I've ever enjoyed.
I'm never going to use it again, and stuff. And so, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and stuff in this area. Okay, so here we go. Speaking of the guys over there, starts with a G. Google has now introduced a thing called AI mode in their search engine. It's allowing users to ask complex, multi-step questions and receive AI-generated responses. So these feature represents a shift away from traditional keyword-based search toward a more conversational, contextual experience. Interesting. While this could make search engines more useful, it could also raise concerns around misinformation. Misinformation. If AI-generated responses replace the standard search results, how will Google ensure accuracy? Additional to this, it could impact creators and SEO strategies for users who may visit websites directly. So let me start off with this one. If you guys don't mind and stuff here. I've been saying now these type of decisions can have concerns and everything. Meaning, I've consistently said, particularly when they started to do, AI web search, I think Microsoft was one of the first people who started to kick it off and stuff in Bing. And so they started to do AI web search. And I realized right then that Bing was using, when it comes for asking restaurants, they were using Yelp for their results, for their query results. They wasn't using Google, things like that and everything. And so for a small business, for a mom and pop restaurant, they may not have Yelp. They may not have, they just have their website. And, lucky for them, their grandson created them for them before they went off, to college or something like that. And the only thing they know how to do is, how to prepare and do the recipes and things like that. The problem and stuff with that is you're not telling anybody what the parameters are going to be, particularly at these businesses. You're not telling anybody what they need to start to prepare for. You're just making decisions, and you're making decisions, and it is impacting, companies, businesses, families of the decisions that you're making without the communication of what you're doing and how you're shifting towards things. Don't you dare lie to me and say that you've reached out and alerted people on what changes and stuff are happening, because you're not. and everything. You're making decisions. This is. I will put this in the category not as large, but this is very similar from Facebook on things with the election. Any social media platforms, you're just simply making decisions and everything, and you're doing it to figure out a way how to increase your bottom line, but not worried about their bottom line, and or even better yet, not even being a partner in the decision making, and stuff in this process. And so the AI search mode before the call and stuff here, Sekou brought it up, and he searched like, hey, who's the tallest NBA player and everything, and they come up with results. And I said, Sekou, hey, do me a favor, search Chinese restaurants in your area. Everything. And so we did it regular in Google, and then we did an AI search mode. 2 different results. Yeah, 2 different results and everything popped up. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. On the AI search modes and everything, it comes up and says, hey, these are the best restaurants. Says who? Like, what's the parameters there? Are you doing it just off the reviews? Are you doing it off the page clicks? Are you doing it off because now they pay for the sponsorships? Everything. What's the parameters there? Like, why are you? What's that? At least
it should be off everything,
Yeah,
it should be
at least
you Google,
right. And there's no filters there too as well. So there in the AI search mode currently, there's no filters. There's no, hey, let me see the newest restaurants that's popping in the area. Let me see all restaurants above 4.5 stars and everything. There's no filters and stuff in there at this moment and everything. But you are creating products and you're creating services and everything. That is going to impact SMBs. That's going to impact because at this current moment, they don't know how to show up in this area. Yeah, we're fucking engineers and we don't even know how to build that shit right now. I mean, we couldn't even tell a company, hey, you need to shift your direction, your planning to this to prepare your company to be able to show up, watch this, in all AI search. What's your strategy there? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because now search includes, you got Bing, everything, you have ChatGPT, one, you have Anthropic's one. You have all these different now AI search elements, everything, and you're not telling companies, everything. You're not telling these individuals and everything, these mom and pop shops and everything, how to prepare themselves in the best way to show up in this element. You're just making fucking decisions. And it's going to impact individuals. And then when you start to roll out information, typically what this country does, you roll it out to family and friends so they can get on the fucking top. It's a problem. It is a problem and everything. Your everyday cleaners, your everyday restaurants, your everyday dry cleaner, whatever it may be, is now about to impact because you're being fucking lazy because you don't want to share the information. As an engineer, it is your duty. It is your responsibility to bring in documentation, to bring in education in this aspect. You're $1 billion company. Fucking figure it out for the greatness of this country. Next fucking segment.
So,
I couldn't have said it better.
So while you're talking, I went ahead and purchased the domain openparameters.org and .com. So if you,
that's the beginning of something beautiful, I think.
Yeah, because you're on a great point, right? You're making a great point, and this is not just a Google thing. It's not just an SEO thing. It's the fact that you have these bots that have the corporation's minds baked inside of it, but they're not showing how things are built. They're not showing they're not providing information to the public so they know how to connect to it. How do they get their content and how they optimize for their business, how they optimize for their world, right?
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this before. We talked about the fact that there needs to be a consortium that can help hold these companies accountable, that can make it so that there is some like
fair competition,
fair competition, and it doesn't feel like the government is gonna be those folks, right? So we have the IEEE, which is the Engineering Standards Institute for Engineering Standards that we use for many different things, but I feel like Yeah, I feel like we're missing this piece here. And until there's public shaming, until there's like an outcry, or what did they do a couple of years ago? There's the open source foundation that was formed, which connected a bunch of different companies together so that they can actually share information without having to worry about all of the, um, um, hurting the competitiveness of the companies itself. I think we're ready. We're ready for that. We're ready for that.
Yeah.
So whenever that organization pops up, open parameters, you know how to find me. Be sure to join the Discord first before you look for me. That's how you find me.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, it's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And looking at the result, like I'm like the results aren't even better. It's not providing me anything that's like supplemental to enough to, I don't know, legitimize really its worth. I mean, if I wanted to do the research side of things, I would just go to deep research or a platform like that. I don't need that integrated into Google search. I can't figure out the use case right now.
It is still a lab. Keep in mind too. It's not something.
Oh, it's still in the labs. Okay.
It's still in the labs, so you have to opt into it. It may go the way of Google Voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this current incarnation, yeah, the usefulness of it is not super high, and it's slow. It's slow too. So you go and you click it, and you're like, oh, it's saying things. It's not really. It's somewhat citing some of the resources that it's. No, actually, no, it's not really citing resources at all. It just gives you a bunch of text, and then maybe some links that are embedded in there, but it doesn't show you like how it determined that this is the highest rated, and why didn't the regular Google search result say that it's a higher rated? I wonder. The question is, hey, which one is more biased? Is it the search results or is it the LLM? Who knows?
I feel like pissing some people off and everything. Are you about to start decreasing people's search or anything in the models because that company has been marked as black owned? Women
anything is possible. Anything is possible.
What's the criteria? Everything
it's
like
really,
what do you?
Yeah, it's trained off something.
Come on.
Yeah.
See, this is why Thanos came.
Yeah. He said, you know what? It's about balance.
Some villains you start to understand.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Closing out and stuff here. NVIDIA recently unveiled Dynamo, a new open source software designed to optimize AI inference at scale. With the explosion of generative AI applications, companies are facing rising costs to deploy large language models in production. Dynamo aims to reduce the cost by improving how AI models run on GPUs, making inference more efficient and stuff here. Man. Sekou, this is definitely your specialties and everything, your area, man. Talk to us. What's your thoughts on stuff from here?
Oh, this is super cool. That's super cool. This is a big problem right now. I think everyone's is kind of fighting this. It's GPUs again. Comes back to the main Achilles heel to all of this. So companies have been using GPUs for doing many things, training and things like that for years, and they've gotten quite good at it. But there's always been this challenge of like, how do you like maximize the use of a GPU? Whenever a GPU is idle, it's like money being just burnt, right? Because you're still paying for that, right? And you don't want someone else to take it because it's a hot commodity, so you're just gonna have to pay that premium, right? So it's always the best situation if you can have it utilized and warm all the time, right? Now, we've had tools out there for like small model side for a while. There are a couple things that they have out there. What is it? Ray Serve is a pretty popular one out there. I think there's a Cube Ray, which is also super interesting. But tools that actually handle models that are large inside, large language model, there's actually a very small amount of tools that you can use for that. You can kind of configure Ray to do that too, but it's not really personally made for that particular workload type without like some, I guess, probably some modifications or something. But Dynamo does this natively. It's made so you can maximize the GPU. And it's like literally it's its own OS. And oddly enough, the thing that I thought was more interesting is like, oh, this doesn't run in Kubernetes. Oh, this is a brand new thing for people at my level to like have to like master behind the scenes. It's really interesting. It's an OS. Essentially, it's an OS for running inference on GPUs and handling the scale of large language models. I think it is very, very interesting.
Is it built for their workstation that they came out with? Okay.
Well, it's built for NVIDIA based systems. Okay. Now, of course, the challenge is that it's exclusive to NVIDIA. So that means that does that mean that AMD needs to come out with their own thing? That means that Intel needs to come out with their own thing if they want to actually continue to be in the inference game. So it's interesting. What we have to, I think, for NVIDIA,
you got market share. It's fine.
Inference is a little different, right? Inference is like there's more room for other folks to play, just because inference isn't as intensive as training is, and you can do a pretty like because AMD and Intel chips are so much cheaper than GPUs, it reaches the good enough bar for a lot of folks, even though the drivers are a little wonky that you have to deal with on the AMD side. It's still like there's still viable competitors for inference, at least. Training, no, you're not using them. it's not happening. No one is. Like I don't. Maybe someone is, but no one that like I've ever like saw online or something like that. So, but yeah, Dynamo is interesting, but it's a NVIDIA product. They are not actually known for having the super high integration products. Personally, now I've used they put out a lot of things, but other than like the SDKs that they have, I have no reason. Probably there's someone out there on the infrastructure side that is having a good time with them, but I've always run into trouble with that. So, yeah.
Adrian?
Sekou. This is Sekou's territory. I don't know much about these. I don't see myself using one in anytime soon, but it just seems that this has been the year of just innovation for NVIDIA, and they're rolling out so many different products that it just looks like it's more of the same. I mean, if they keep going this way, one of them is going to be sticky, and one of them is going to help maybe prop them up to where they need to be, with DeepSeek crashing the market 2 months ago now, and people kind of being weary on whether or not the proof is in the processor. Is it that's does that make you corner the market, or is it the training? So as they continue to roll out products like this, it can help maybe stabilize investor confidence, I would imagine.
It definitely will reduce the cloud bills, and that is beside the GPU crunch. Cloud bills that's always a thing, right?
Okay.
So more utilization means lower cost of goods for us. That means maybe ChatGPT 4.5 may actually one day become cheaper to use. What's it like? It's like $75 per million tokens or something like that. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy. $75.
I mean, I think the AI inference market is I think it's still dominated though by NVIDIA, but you definitely got other players as well. Intel, Qualcomm, you can throw Samsung and stuff in there into as well. So the market and stuff is there, but the domination of it is still, by far NVIDIA.
And don't forget about the cloud vendors have their own custom inference chips out there that they're optimizing and stuff like that behind the scenes, which is also another area that kind of competes. I think the thing I'm actually not excited about is the fact that this is something that looks like it's really pointed to only NVIDIA. It's not a general tool. I feel like you would get more adoption if it's general, but that's not in their favor to make general tools.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this is the first time that I've heard of like an inference optimization side of it, because inference, I understood, was just like the process of when the language model creates new data. So if or generates new or reformatted summaries or whatever from the data that's already there.
Well, when you're talking to, you're on say ChatGPT and you're talking to it and it's communicating back to you, that whole process is inference right there.
Yeah.
Right. When you're actually doing it, so like you're telling it what the question is and the answer, and you're doing it at scale millions of times. That is where the training part comes in. It's creating it's expanding the neural links on the LLM. That's your training aspect, which is super CPU intensive. It takes a very long time and many GPUs to hold the context and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is really connected directly to consumers. When inference gets better, prices go down for people to use the actual product itself.
I thought it was okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the training aspect is the model's getting smarter over time, right?
Okay.
That's where that's the difference, how you navigate.
In my head, I always thought that it was the cost of the training that's what was kind of being passed off, where it wasn't as expensive or costly in the inference side of it, because it would be just having the conversation with the kind of thing that's already trained, if that makes sense. I didn't know about that side of it more. I'm halfway through the Andrew Karpathy video where he breaks down the entire thing. Yeah. It's really good.
Because the AI inference stuff, particularly around tax, is also segmented across different industries. So you got industries of like healthcare, banking, automotive, and things like that. So you're gonna need more specialized tasks and stuff in those areas too as well.
Gotcha.
Which opens up opportunity for competitors, because somebody may be better on the healthcare side of things than their automotive side of things, which is also interesting to see NVIDIA get into the automotive space. Maybe they've already been in there, but they're now partnering with GM to create a autonomous vehicle.
Yeah, interesting. Don't the Teslas have like an AMD processor running on them, or a GPU or something like that? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
They've
talked about it on their AI Tesla days. Actually, they didn't do well last year. I think about it, but they talked about it on the AI Tesla days. Maybe something to go back and watch.
Oh, speaking of Teslas, my Tesla is not long for the world. It's gonna. So I'm gonna send it back into the sea.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to hear, man.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Closing out, man. fellas, man, it was a great conversation today.
It was a great one.
Great conversation today. As always, man, definitely join the Discord. Join our Discord and stuff too as well, man. We'll be posting articles, research. We'll start doing office hours and stuff there. Well, all three of us have a lot of things that we need to build, and if we are going to spend the time, we're definitely going to build it for our the community, because we got so many different tools and even ourselves that we want to add to the chaos, this AI centric world we're fast tracking towards and everything. And so, but yeah, when we do build those tools, we'll build it within the community. So definitely join the Discord and everything. You'll see that here in the show notes and stuff for that. So check us out with AI with Friends podcast on all platforms, and then you can follow me at I am Marlon Avery on all platforms. Adrian,
I'm at Adrian_Poupon, all platforms. We're about to launch or deploy a new glossary and summary of terms, and to kind of explain a lot of the jargon that we talk about in case you're confused anywhere along the way. Be sure to hit us up on our Discord as well if there's any suggestions.
Where's the glossary? Where will it be?
AIwithfriends.io is the website.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sekou?
Yeah. And you can follow me on Sekou the Wise One on all platforms. Definitely join our Discord. We regularly post in there on new trends that are happening. We spark conversations. It's a good time. And every now and then we'll put little how-tos for folks. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm definitely taking credit that I got you guys to change your handles on all platforms. Now
we gotta change them again.
No, because it was like 3 different handles, in 4 different platforms. Now if I can give you guys a change your bio, man, geez, bro.
We do what we can. We'll
be moving up, Mr. Award winning. I'm still mad at that. All right, guys. I ain't want to get into it. It's gonna piss me off. All right, guys, we are out.
All right,
peace.